Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified. I'm Shaveen Bandardanayake. Many students tend to traverse through their academics and the life that they have in university as well as through the academic institution perhaps by relying completely on the material that's provided to them by the institution itself. This might take the form of a subject guide or the core textbooks. Now, by and large, most of these students will in fact go through and pass their examinations or their assignment submissions. But what they encounter in terms of their career and in the workforce is a stark contrast to the success that they might have thought that they had in their academics. The reason for this is that when it comes to the fast-paced world of the legal profession, irrespective of in what capacity that you are in it, you'll encounter students who have excelled in their academics not just by virtue of book smarts, so to speak, but by approaching legal studies in a very practical manner as well. I have encountered a number of graduates, in fact, who have come up to me and who've illustrated this very point, in the sense that to tell me that they've passed through their examinations, they've gotten through their LLB or the GDL, but then the moment they come to the profession itself, they realize how competitive it is and how far superior in some instances most students who have converted themselves into barristers or solicitors are in fact in everyday life. Now, while it might seem somewhat perplexing in the sense of how one student might excel or succeed whereas another wouldn't, while being provided with the same material and the opportunities as each and every one, it's also quite relevant to understand that why some students succeed in the profession is not merely due to how they are able to understand and analytically apply the law that they've learned to given scenarios. Rather, the primary reason is because they've infused practical components into their academics itself. That way, they've been able to get a hands-on feel, so to speak, of the profession itself before starting, on the one hand, and on the other hand, they've developed certain connections and networks way before they have even approached a chamber or a courtroom. This video is intended to show you a few techniques that you as a student can employ in your academics to, firstly, create the best first impression for judges as well as other professionals in chambers such as barristers and solicitors, and on the other hand, level up, so to speak, in terms of your articulation and the way you approach your examinations as well as assignments. Now, mind you, not everything that I'm going to mention in this video might be accessible to you, but there are plenty of resources online that can help guide you in the right direction based on these suggestions. The first, and I would argue the easiest thing that you can implement practically, is to get out of the classroom. What I mean by this is try and visit a local court of law. It might be at a first instance, such as a magistrate's or a high court, or if possible, get to look at a court of appeal or a Supreme Court judgment being handed out. You still have the opportunity of witnessing cases being heard, submissions being made by barristers, as well as judgments being handed out by appellate court judges, such as Supreme Court judges and Court of Appeal judges, if you simply visit the relevant websites. Most of these websites are freely available, some of which I will link below in the description as well, where you can see, for example, judgments being handed out, and more importantly, you can see barristers and successful attorneys on their feet, making their submissions and arguments. Why this is important is because you need to immerse yourself in the profession of law. You need to hear and understand and pick up on certain traits as well as techniques that successful barristers and other professionals in the legal profession employ in order to succeed in their career. Once you have seen this and once you have ingratiated it, you will notice a stark difference in how you approach scenarios in your examination questions as well as assignments. These will help you articulate responses in a much more professional way and your examiners and professors will reward you for it with higher grades. The second way in which you can level up, so to speak, in terms of your profession, in terms of your career later on, is to opt for modules that require you to research and hone your techniques as such. Subjects such as a dissertation, for instance, a research module, if available through your university, is something that is highly recommended. Unlike the taught modules, where you would have lectures and you would have a particular structure in place, a dissertation tests you on a number of different levels, including your research skills, as well as your ability to argue on one point versus another counterpoint. This also means that you will have a deeper understanding of one particular subject area. And if you wish to proceed with higher learning, you can expand on that understanding for a master's degree, such as an LLM. A dissertation also means that later on in your career, you have the ability to specialize in a particular area of interest. And your employers will also reward you with those positions once they find out that you're not the general kettle of fish, so to speak. Someone who has focused and learned a particular area, and by and large, later on in your career, you could move on to become an expert in that field itself. The third method or technique that we need to employ in leveling up as a law student and succeeding in our legal profession later on is to take up mooting. Now, for those of you who might be unaware of how mooting functions and how it operates, do put a comment below this video and I'd be happy to make a video on that later on as well. But basically, mooting is mock trials. It's a situation in which students get together and they have to submit to a real-life judge, for that matter, based on either a fictitious or an actual case that is being heard. This not only gives you the ability to see how in real life barristers and solicitors conduct themselves in a court of law and make submissions to judges, but also provides a great opportunity to network with judges and barristers in the profession. Now, when you go into the profession itself, as a student, as an academic who has passed through an LLB and then become a barrister also, what's most important is the network that you have developed. Not only to get ahead in the profession, but also to create a name for oneself later on. Now, mooting provides such a wonderful opportunity to do this because if you are competing professionally in the context of mooting, you will encounter actual judges, actual barristers that are present at these moots. And once they are able to see you perform in these moots, will be more than likely to provide you with an opportunity later on when you enter the profession itself. Right. These three techniques that I've suggested that you incorporate might not all be available to you in your academics. You might be studying for your LLB or GDL via distance learning and remotely, or you might be a professional, for example, that might not have the time to visit a campus or a university and have the full-blown university experience. However, most of them you can still incorporate into your academics by spirit. What I mean by this is try and learn vicariously through others. Watch clips or videos of mooting online. Try and access as many judgments being handed out or submissions being made on your local online court proceedings website. In the UK, it would be supremecourt.uk, which you can check out through the link below. And in other jurisdictions, there'll be a similar method of proliferating these judgments. Try and immerse yourself in the profession that you have chosen to go into, and you will notice how you are able to tap into and unlock a different level of your academics, and that you can take your professional endeavors above and beyond. But until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.